Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time, we're exploring the intricate world of child development, and you've provided us with a comprehensive book on the subject.
Oh, it's packed with research observations.
Real-life examples, the whole nine yards.
It really is a great resource for anyone.
For anyone looking to understand their kids better, right? And of course, looking for some effective parenting strategies along the way.
Absolutely. It covers a wide range of topics.
From the evolutionary roots of child development.
Practical tips for navigating those challenging toddler years, even insights into
How to foster resilience in kids.
all backed by scientific research and real-world examples.
Really impressive stuff. I'm excited to dive in. I gotta say, one of the things that really blew my mind early on in the book was how it connected child development to our evolutionary past.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
Did you know that a baby's wobbly first steps
It's incredible.
are actually echoes of our ancestors learning to walk upright millions of years ago? I mean, it's like
I know.
we're witnessing a tiny piece of evolutionary history unfolding right before our eyes.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Seeing those everyday milestones as part of a much grander story, a story that stretches back millennia.
Yeah. And it's not just walking, right? The book talks about how
Right.
speech, tool use, even social behaviors all have roots in our evolutionary past.
And they're all interconnected.
Mind-blowing, isn't it?
It's like these seemingly simple actions are actually deeply woven into our DNA.
They're part of what makes us human.
Exactly.
And the book also talks about the human hand specifically
Oh, yeah.
as like a game changer in our evolutionary journey. They call it the genius of the body.
And it makes sense when you think about it. The development of the opposable thumb and that intricate dexterity of our hands,
To really set us apart.
yeah, instrumental in our ability to use tools,
Which, of course,
is believed to have spurred significant cognitive development,
is like a chain reaction.
leading to the complex brains we have today. So, those tiny hands that are constantly grasping and
Not just cute.
they're actually carrying on an ancient legacy.
And shaping the brains of the future.
Uh,
Amazing. So from these evolutionary foundations, the book then goes on to break down those
It does.
those specific milestones
Right.
that mark a child's development. All those things that as parents we eagerly anticipate.
Oh, absolutely.
Like rolling over, crawling, sitting up.
First step.
Those unforgettable first steps. And here's a fun fact. The book mentions that girls often reach these milestones slightly earlier than boys.
Yeah. Did you know
I
that?
didn't know that.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what are the factors contributing to those
It's fascinating.
to those subtle differences? But either way,
It really is.
it's incredible, isn't it? Watching those milestones unfold.
It's magic.
It's like watching a tiny human conquer the world.
Yeah.
One developmental leap at a time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And while, we tend to focus on those big, splashy milestones,
Right.
the book also emphasizes the importance of those seemingly mundane activities, like tummy time for baby.
I always wondered about that. Why is tummy time so crucial? What's the big deal?
Well, it's not just about giving them a different view or keeping them entertained.
Yeah.
Tummy time actually plays a crucial role in strengthening those neck and back muscles,
Oh, okay.
which are essential for developing head control and preparing them for
For all those amazing things.
sitting, crawling, and eventually walking.
So all that wriggling and fussing on their tummies
It has a purpose.
is actually laying the groundwork for those future physical achievements.
Exactly. It's a foundational stage.
Who knew? Tummy time. It's not just for fun.
Serious business.
It's brain building. Well, from there, the book moves into this fascinating exploration of cognitive development, and it introduces us to
Oh, yes.
a renowned psychologist named Jean Piaget,
Piaget, a legend.
who developed this groundbreaking theory of cognitive development, outlining these
4 distinct stages.
4 distinct stages that children progress through as they grow. It's like a roadmap of how their brains
It is. It's like a roadmap.
are developing and how their thinking processes become more complex over time.
Right. So, starting with the sensory-motor stage, from birth to about 2 years old.
Okay.
Infants are like little scientists, exploring the world through their senses and motor actions,
They're so curious.
putting everything in their mouths,
Everything.
grasping, shaking objects, and really learning about cause and effect.
Through trial and error.
Through trial and error. It's amazing how much learning is happening in those early years.
It's
Even when it just seems like they're playing.
It's all a learning experience for them.
And then, they move on to the pre-operational stage from roughly 2 to 7 years old.
Okay.
And here, they start developing language skills. They start using symbols to represent objects and ideas.
Oh, that's a big one.
But their thinking is still quite literal and egocentric at this point.
Right, they see the world through their own eyes.
Exactly. They struggle to see things from another person's perspective, and they often have difficulty understanding abstract concepts.
Oh, so that's why my 3-year-old thinks the moon is following her around at night.
Could be. It's a classic example of that pre-operational thinking.
Makes sense.
You know, they might attribute human-like qualities to inanimate objects or struggle with things like the concept of conservation.
Right, like the classic water glass experiment.
Exactly. You pour the same amount of water into different shaped glasses.
And they think the taller one has more.
Exact. But the book actually brings these stages to life with some really engaging case studies.
Oh, I love those.
Like, there's a story about Tommy, a 2-year-old, who gets fascinated with rolling his toy car down a ramp.
He's experimenting.
Right. He spends hours experimenting with different heights and angles, observing how it affects the car's speed.
That's awesome. He's a little physicist in the making.
Exactly. And then there's Sarah, an 8-year-old, who initially struggles with that concept of conservation we talked about.
Yeah.
She's presented with 2 identical balls of clay, but when one is rolled into a long snake,
Ah, the classic.
she insists that the snake has more clay because it's longer. But as she experiments with rolling and reshaping the clay, she eventually grasps that idea that the amount stays the same despite the changes in form.
Those aha moments are the best.
It's amazing to witness those breakthroughs in their thinking, isn't it?
It's the best. You know, I bet our listeners are already thinking, okay, what Piaget stage is my kid in?
Probably, yeah.
It's a great way to kind of gain a deeper understanding of their cognitive development and
tailor your parenting strategy.
tailor your approaches, right?
Exact. Like, if you know your child is in that pre-operational state,
You'll have more patience.
you'll understand why they might struggle with abstract concepts or have difficulty seeing things from another person's.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for understanding their behavior, right?
It can be really helpful.
And now, the book doesn't stop at cognitive development. It also delves into the equally important realm of
Right.
emotional and social growth. And it introduces us to another influential psychologist named Erik Erikson.
Oh, yeah, Eric.
This theory of psychosocial development, 8 stages that span the entire lifespan, from infancy to old age.
It's a pretty comprehensive theory.
Really, it's not just about how children think. It's also about how they feel, how they relate to others,
How they develop their identity.
how they develop their identity. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these stages. What's the first one?
Okay, so the first stage, which spans from birth to about 1-year-old, is called trust versus mistrust.
Trust versus mistrust. Okay.
And during this crucial period, infants are totally dependent on their caregivers for their basic needs, right? Food, comfort, safety.
They need it all.
And if those needs are consistently met with love, care, responsiveness,
They learn to trust.
they develop a sense of trust in the world, in themselves.
That's foundation.
It is. But if their needs are neglected or met inconsistently,
That can have a negative impact.
it can lead to mistrust, right? They might feel insecure, apprehensive about the world.
It makes sense that those early experiences of being cared for or neglected
They're so powerful.
would have such a profound impact on a child's developing sense of self.
Absolutely. It lays the groundwork for all future relationships.
A future relationship. Wow. So what happens next? What's the next stage?
Okay, so the second stage, from about 1 to 3 years old,
1 to 3. Yeah.
is called autonomy versus shame and doubt.
Autonomy versus shame and doubt. All right.
And as toddlers gain mobility and start asserting their independence,
They want to do everything themselves.
they have this strong urge to do things for themselves. They want to explore, make choices, test their limits.
This is the terrible twos territory, right?
Exact. This is where we often see those delightful but sometimes frustrating terrible twos behaviors emerge.
Oh, I know those behaviors well.
So, like, think about a toddler who insists on putting on their own shoes, even though it takes forever.
Even if it's the wrong foot.
Right. Or they want to choose their own clothes, even if it's a completely mismatched outfit.
It's a power struggle.
It's all about autonomy, right? They're trying to figure out who they are.
And exert their independence.
Exactly. And so during this stage, it's crucial that parents and caregivers encourage that exploration, that independence,
Provide guidance, of course.
while providing appropriate limits and guidance. Because if we're overly critical, controlling, or dismissive of their efforts,
It can backfire.
it can instill feelings of shame and doubt,
It makes them hesitant.
making them hesitant to try new things, hesitant to assert their independence.
So it's a balancing act, encouraging independence while setting boundaries,
It's a constant dance, finding that sweet spot,
where they feel empowered to explore.
but also understand that there are limits.
Limits and rules to follow.
Exactly.
This is fascinating stuff. I'm already starting to see how these stages play out in my own kids' lives.
It's really eye-opening, isn't it?
It is, and we're just getting started. We'll be back with more insights from the deep dive after a quick break. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're in the thick of it now, exploring Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development.
And we left off talking about autonomy versus Shame and doubt.
Those toddlers, right? Testing those boundaries.
Yeah. Figuring out what they can and can't do.
So what comes after that? Where do we go from there?
Well, the next stage kicks in around age 3 and lasts till about 5.
3 to 5. Okay.
It's called initiative versus guilt.
Initiative versus guilt.
And during the stage, kids are bursting with energy
So much energy.
and curiosity.
They want to do everything.
They want to initiate activities, make plans, really engage in imaginative play.
Like their little director.
They are creating their own worlds,
Making up stories.
taking on roles and
It's
responsibilities.
amazing to watch.
It is, and it's crucial that, parents and caregivers encourage this initiative.
Give them space.
Give them opportunities to make choices, explore their interests.
Develop a sense of purpose.
Exactly, because if we stifle their initiative with constant criticism or restrictions or comparisons to others,
That can have a negative impact.
it can lead to feelings of guilt
Oh, I see.
and a reluctance to take initiative in the future.
I'm noticing a theme here.
What's that?
This balance between encouraging their independence and setting appropriate boundaries.
You're right. It's a recurring theme in parenting.
It's a tightrope walk
It is a delicate dance, finding that sweet spot.
between giving them freedom and
Guidance.
right?
And it changes as they grow.
So true. Okay, we've got trust, autonomy, and initiative. What's the next hurdle?
Well, from about 6 to 11 years old,
6 to 11, those elementary school years.
children enter the stage of industry versus inferiority.
Industry versus inferiority. Interesting.
Yeah, and this stage often coincides with the start of formal education.
Oh, right. They're in school now.
They're in a world of learning, acquiring new skills, being evaluated on their performance.
Compared to their peers.
And that's a big one, right? They're exposed to a wider social circle, and those comparisons can really impact their self-esteem.
It's a vulnerable time.
It is. And during this stage, they're really developing a sense of competence and mastery.
So, like, if they feel successful,
If they feel successful in their endeavors, whether it's academics, sports, creative pursuits,
feel good about
they
themselves,
develop a sense of industry, feeling confident in their ability,
ready for the next challenge.
ready for the next challenge, exactly. But if they experience repeated failures, criticism, comparisons that make them feel inadequate,
Now, what happens?
they might develop a sense of inferiority,
Oh, that makes sense.
doubting their ability, shying away from challenges.
I see. So it's important to support them.
It's provide encouragement, recognize their efforts.
But also set realistic
Right. It's about finding that balance again.
ways that balance.
It's about helping them develop a growth mindset.
A growth mindset? What's that?
It's where they view challenges as opportunities for learning and growth rather than threats to their self-worth.
That's a valuable lesson.
It is, and not just for childhood, but for life.
So true. Well, now the book shifts gears a little bit
It does.
and delves into the crucial role of parenting in shaping a child's development.
Oh, absolutely. It talks about different parenting styles and their impact.
This is important stuff.
It is. It discusses 4 main styles: authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and neglectful.
Okay, I've heard those terms before, but break it down for me.
All right, so authoritarian parents, they're often described as strict and demanding.
Yeah.
They set high expectations, enforce rules rigidly, not a lot of room for negotiation.
So, like, my way or the highway kind of parenting.
Kind of. And while this approach might produce children who are obedient, academically successful,
Doesn't sound very nurturing.
it can backfire. It can lead to kids who are either submissive and dependent or rebellious and resentful. Ah, so it's like a double-edged sword?
It can be. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have permissive parents.
Okay, what are they like?
They're characterized by leniency, a hands-off approach.
More relaxed.
Yeah, few rules, few expectations, lots of freedom and autonomy.
So, more like a friend than a parent.
You could say that, but while this approach might seem appealing,
It has drawbacks.
it can lead to kids who lack self-discipline, struggle with boundaries.
And making responsible decisions.
Exact, so it's like a pendulum swing.
Too much control versus too little control.
That's a good way to put it.
So where's the middle ground?
That's where authoritative parenting comes in.
Okay, tell me about that.
This style is often considered the most effective.
The sweet spot.
It's about striking a balance between setting clear expectations and boundaries while also being responsive to the child's needs.
So there's structure.
There is, but also warmth in communication.
It sounds more balanced.
It is. Authoritative parents provide guidance and support while fostering independence.
And self-reliance. Exactly. And children raised with this style tend to be more self-assured, responsible.
And socially competent.
They're learning to navigate the world within a framework of clear expectations and loving guidance.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, what about neglectful parenting?
Well, as the name suggests, it involves a lack of involvement
Oh, shit.
and responsiveness to the child's needs.
Like they're not there for them.
Yeah, it can range from emotional neglect, where parents are distant, unresponsive,
Physical neglect.
where basic needs like food, shelter, safety aren't met.
That's heartbreaking.
It is, and neglectful parenting can have severe consequences for a child's development.
leading to all sorts of difficulty.
Emotional, social, cognitive.
And the book really emphasizes that.
Every child deserves to grow up in a loving, supportive environment.
Where their needs are met, their well-being is prioritized.
Absolutely.
It's a sobering reminder of the impact
Parenting
has.
on a child's life. Now, the book doesn't shy away from tough topics.
It does, like adverse childhood experiences or ACs.
Right. ACs.
And for our listeners, those encompass a range of traumatic events,
That can occur during childhood.
including abuse,
Neglect.
household dysfunction.
And the book highlights the lasting impact these experiences can have.
It's not just something you shake off.
It can increase the risk of physical and mental health problems later in life
So it's crucial to recognize
and address these ACEs.
provide support, resources.
Create a culture of prevention.
Absolutely. It's about protecting our most vulnerable.
Exactly.
And on a related note, the book also delves into bullying.
Another tough but important topic.
Bullying can take so many forms.
It can, from physical aggression to verbal abuse to social exclusion.
And especially in the digital age,
It can be
it
relentless.
can have devastating
On a child's self-esteem, social development,
mental health.
it's crucial to talk about it.
And the book explores the dynamics,
Of bullying.
shedding light on both the victims and the perpetrators.
And it emphasizes the importance of fostering empathy and compassion.
Teaching kids to stand up for themselves and others.
Create a culture of kindness and respect.
It's about making sure kids feel safe and supported.
Exactly.
But amidst all these challenges, the book also offers hope.
It does.
It focuses on the power of resilience,
Resilience.
that ability to bounce back from adversity,
Adapt and thrive.
even in the face of challenges.
It's a powerful quality.
And the book highlights the factors that contribute to it.
Like strong social connection, a sense of purpose,
A belief in yourself.
that you can overcome
It's
obstacles.
not just surviving,
It's about thriving.
coming out stronger.
Exactly. And the book has some inspiring examples of individuals who've overcome incredible adversity.
Real life superhero.
They are. And it also offers practical advice on how to foster resilience in children.
Give us some tips. How do we do that?
Well, one key strategy is to encourage problem-solving skills.
Instead of rescuing them,
Right. Empower them to think critically, find solutions.
give them the tools.
Exactly. Another important factor is fostering a sense of purpose.
Help them find their passion.
Connect to something larger than themselves.
That makes sense.
And of course, providing a loving and supportive environment is paramount.
That's the foundation.
It is. Children who feel safe, loved, accepted,
They have that inner strength.
they're more likely to navigate those ups and downs.
It's amazing how interconnected all of this is.
It really is. From our evolutionary past to those early experiences of trust and autonomy,
To the role of parenting and the challenges kids face,
and the incredible resilience they can develop.
it all comes together to shape who they become.
Exactly.
This has been so insightful.
It's been a fascinating
I
journey
feel like I have a deeper understanding
of how children develop.
and how I can be a better parent.
That's wonderful to hear.
And we're not done yet. We'll be back with more insights from the deep dive after a quick break. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered so much ground already, but this book is just full of insights, and I'm eager to see what else it has in store for us in these final chapters. What else do we have to explore?
Well, the book doesn't shy away from some of the more, I guess you could say, challenging aspects of child development. It dives into things like learning disabilities
Okay.
and mental health issues that families might encounter.
You know, those can be tough topics for parents to navigate.
Absolutely. It can be really overwhelming and uncertain when you're facing those challenges.
Yeah, where do you even begin, right?
But the book does a great job, I think, of breaking down these complex concepts into, digestible information and offering practical advice.
So, for example, with learning disabilities.
Right. So with learning disabilities, it explains how they're not a reflection of a child's intelligence.
Right. It's not that they're not smart.
It's not about ability, it's about differences in how their brains process information.
So it's more about finding the right way to learn.
Exact. It's about different learning styles, and the book emphasizes that early identification and intervention are key.
Sooner the better.
The sooner the better, absolutely. And it highlights how, specialized instruction and support can really empower children with learning disabilities to thrive academically.
To reach their full potential.
Reach their full potential. Yeah. And it also stresses the importance of parents advocating for their children, making sure they're getting those necessary accommodations and support within the school system.
Right. Being their champion.
Exactly, because sometimes you have to fight for those things.
You do. It's about making sure they have the resources they need to succeed.
Exactly.
Now, in addition to learning disabilities, The book also tackles the important topic of mental health in children.
Oh, absolutely. And this is such a crucial conversation to have.
It is, and it can be hard for parents to know how to approach it.
Right. There can be a lot of stigma surrounding mental health.
And a lot of fear.
Yeah, but the book does a really good job of kind of normalizing these challenges, emphasizing that they're more common than we might think.
And that asking for help is okay.
It's a sign of strength, not weakness.
Absolutely. So what kind of specific mental health issues does the book cover?
It covers a range of common issues that you might see in childhood, like anxiety, depression, ADHD.
Okay.
And it talks about the symptoms, potential causes, treatment options.
Really giving parents some concrete information.
Yeah, because it can be heartbreaking to watch your child struggle.
And you want to do everything you can to help.
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes the importance of early intervention.
And that there are effective treatments available.
Absolutely. Things like therapy, medication, lifestyle changes.
It's about finding what works for each individual child.
Right. It's not one size fits all.
You know, this book is so comprehensive.
It really is.
It feels like we've only scratched the surface.
I know. We could talk about this for hours.
We could, but unfortunately our time is limited. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what are some of the key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that child development is a complex and fascinating journey.
It's not a straight line.
No, it's full of twists and turns, ups and downs.
And every child is unique.
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to parenting
But there are things we can do
to support our children.
to help them thrive
And that starts with understanding how they develop, understanding their needs,
and meeting them with love, compassion,
and patience.
a lot of patience.
He doesn't hurt.
And remember, this book is an incredible resource,
It really is.
packed with insights and practical advice.
And if you want to dive deeper, you can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
Well, folks, there you have it, a deep dive into the world of child development. I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as I have. Remember, every child is a miracle, a unique and precious individual.
With their own path to follow.
And our job as parents is to support them, guide them.
And love them unconditionally.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep nurturing those amazing little humans in your life.